3, 2, 1. Get lazy, get lazy. Everybody gonna get lazy. Get lazy, get lazy. Lazy Scouts. One more time, that Lazy Scouts. We're singing that Lazy Scouts. Boom.
Hello everybody, my name is Zachary.
And I'm Amy.
And welcome to Lazy Scouts.
Welcome to Lazy. It's the best song in Lazy Town. You're wrong if you think it's anything else.
There's argument to be made for Cooking by the Book.
No.
Or... I feel like there's other songs I'm blanking
I guess
on.
We Are Number One.
We Are Number One.
I guess that could be a contender. I guess.
I don't know. Say that Lazy Scouts is better than We Are Number One. I think We Are Number One is perfect meme material. But in terms of like songs, I love the groove of Lazy Scouts.
Lazy Scout. I was gonna say the Lazy Scouts is the first one that made me go, oh, we're going.
It's a really good little groove.
Oh, yeah. Hey, also, We Are Number One also did that. So that's why I'm like, you could persuade me it's We Are Number One.
Oh, we love We Are Number One. Rest in peace, Stefan Carl. What a wonderful man he was.
Yes, we love him.
Anyways, this is the Lazy Town podcast. Side-ology. Which is not, in fact, a Lazy Town podcast. Man, can you imagine if somebody, like, jumped in at this episode for the first time? This is what they started with. And we went on, like, a good, like, 2-4-minute rant on, like... just Lazy Scouts.
I mean, I think that describes our friendship pretty well. So
that sounds about right.
This is a psychology podcast. This is a psychology podcast as much as it is a conversation between Tech and me podcast.
Tech's what?
This is. Well, here's what I'm trying to say. As much as this is a psychology podcast, this is also a podcast about yours and my conversations about Sanderside. Therefore, yeah, this defines our conversations pretty well.
Yeah, just as equally as that last 90 seconds of you attempting to say those words is a good summation of my brain on every single day. So, yeah, works out. Yeah. But hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. We're going to start out, before we even get to the topic, we do have an announcement to make. That's a fun way to announce the announcement, but it's not a very fun announcement. Announcement. Better. So,
it was a little bit depressive.
There was a nice little downturn there. It plummeted. Yeah. It was like... But,
oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's
we're down there.
We're down there.
Oh,
shoot.
Well,
I thought we were up here.
I don't know.
Anyways, announcement. We are on our last couple of episodes before we temporarily don't have episodes. And once that happens, the podcast, I think we mentioned this right at the beginning of the podcast, or we mentioned it once or twice in between. We had a certain number of episodes that we had from the beginning that we were going to do week after week as we've been doing. But now that we're running to the end of them, from this point on, the episodes are going to be a lot more sporadic. There's still going to be episodes. The podcast is definitely not over, but the episodes are going to be fewer and far between. Because now that we've talked about basically everything that we could find to talk about Sanderside so far, we need to wait for more Sandersides to find more theories. And also Inside Out too. Because, man, I'm excited for that one. But yeah, so after this one, there's 2 more normal episodes of Side-ology, week after week, and then there's a fan Q&A, as there usually is. And after that, the schedule goes bye-bye. And any future episodes will come when they come. We don't really know. It's kind of sad, you know?
Yeah, I've had fun coming here and talking every week and few weeks. Because also it's been a few weeks since we've talked in that for the podcast wise. So I went every few weeks.
Because we did take that, we did the Q&A and then we did the week break and everything. So yeah, it works out that we take some breaks here and there. But no, it's gonna be sad to not do this as regularly. It's gonna be a slight relief, but it's also sad.
Yeah. it's hard work to make a podcast.
I think
I recommend it if you've never done it.
I think we both didn't realize how much work would end up going into it. I think we knew it would be labor intensive, but like there was definitely a lot more that went into it than we originally thought, and it took up a lot more time than we originally thought. Because I know, like, I from the beginning never thought that there was going to be as much like sitting down, taking notes, and really figuring it out. I think I was just like, we'll jump on and we'll start talking. That's probably fine. That's how I talk when I think. I get real New York. Like, forget about it. I don't know. Bagels, the Mets. Anyways, those are the things of New York that I know. Bagels and the Mets.
Bagels and the Mets, that's it. And then, where I'm from, it's trees.
Trees?
Trees.
Oh my god. Remember that time we wrote a story about trees?
Oh.
What was that, like, beginning of, like, 2022, or was that 2022?
Something like that. For context, we did a live stream a while ago, like however long ago that was, where we did like we traded sentences and made a story, and it was about like a tree, and it's on Tech Real's YouTube channel if you want to see it. But it's it's hilarious.
It was pretty great.
Not to toot my own horn, but we look back at that now after having totally forgotten about it, and we crack ourselves.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
I'm still laughing at some shit. Anyway, I haven't seen it in a long time.
I just had a completely random thought that I don't even know if I should bring up here, because it's definitely the type of thing that we should talk about probably later. I might bring it up to you during the break. It's just an idea. I don't know. Anyways, now you guys get to wonder about it forever.
Write it down.
I should write it down.
Write it down.
I was going to write it down in the notes. That's not ideal, because then you're going to see it immediately.
If you have ADHD, the thought, I'll remember it, is not going to work.
Hold on. Oh, jeez. We haven't even talked about the topic yet of today's episode.
I know. Well, I can introduce us to... I can go into the topic. Have we talked about that yet? I forget.
We have not talked about it a single moment yet.
We have not. I got you. So, what we're going to talk about today is we're talking about the humanity of the sides. Mm-hmm. Like, if just how human are they? Yeah. And also, like, if they were human, what would be different? I have pretty intense opinions about this.
You do. That was the first thing... There were two things I knew about you as, like, pretty soon into the friendship. One, you're a very big stickler for canon. But two, you are, and you have very strong opinions about how human the sides are. And I know we've definitely gotten into some, like, minor debates because of it here and there, because I know, of course, as I think I've demonstrated plenty over time, or maybe I have, maybe I haven't, I say a lot of things, but I am one to anthropomorphize things quite a bit. So I'll see a damn rock and be like, no, it's a little baby boy and I love him now, and his name is Randall and he's great. But, Randall? Anyways, it's one of those names I'm like, did I say that? Okay, Randall.
I mean, Randall is a name in my family, so...
Oh, Randall is from Monsters, Inc. Is that Randall?
It is Randall.
It is Randall.
I just thought of that and went, oh. I love Randall, though. Randall, in Monsters University. Anyway.
In Monsters University, he's great.
Listen. Okay.
Oh my god. So yeah, the humanity of the side. So yeah. Sorry. Wow. Hello, me.
So, in being a stickler for canon, you're so good.
Yeah, please. My point, what I was trying to say was you talk, which is good because thank goodness. That was literally what I was trying to say. I was trying to say you talk because you have the opinions on this. And my mouth was like, oh, someone else is talking? We can turn off now? And I'm like, no, we still need to get these words out, guys. Come on. Anyways, I'm gonna yeah.
Love the brain. Anyway, no, you're so good, dude. Anyway, so, yes, I don't know why I do this, but I'm really picky about character choices, personally. And I mean, I will contend that, like, character choices in general are the decision of the actor and the writer. So they can be kind of morphed and changed between different people. But especially with Sander sides, I think there's a very, I think there's kind of because it's so connected to psychology, I have pretty strong opinions for the canon of it. And I mean, I'm willing to have discussions about it and work around it, but I tend to be pretty stubborn about it. So with that in mind, we're talking about how human the sides are today. We're also going to talk about the side sexualities, like if they were people, what would their sexualities be?
Oh,
right?
see, well, I mean, that's not even where I'm taking that, because I'm thinking of them as they are now. If they would have any different sexuality. I know, I've seen in the fandom, I don't know if I've actually seen in the fandom, I feel like I remember seeing in the fandom, people have, like, I know people have done this with, like, how do I phrase that properly? I was going to say mental disorders. I don't know if that's quite the word I was looking for, but like, different, I think that people have said that. Like, people, like, different, like, mental afflictions. What is the word I'm looking for? Is there a better word than disorder? I feel like disorder sounds negative. Condition might be the better term. I mean, disorder is also the case in a lot of it, from what I've seen, but, like, yeah, no, so, different, I've seen that. I don't know if I've seen as many takes on sexuality. I've seen some with, like, Ace and Arrow. There's, like, a lot of debate with it.
Yeah, and I know, I definitely know there are a lot of people who have very strong opinions on these things. I personally am of the opinion that, like, they don't have sexualities, but we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
And then our takes on shipping the sides.
Ooh, that's something that people have opinions about.
Oh my god, they
we
do.
can definitely talk about some shipping things, because I know we disagree with certain things. We
heavily disagree, because, as I say, like, I guess to start off the conversation, I don't see them as human, so they can't love. They can't love that way. We only can. This is okay. I'm so excited to get into this debate, because
we've debated this a lot.
This is one of the conversations that Tech and I kind of, like, originated talking about Sander sides with, because, like, or at least for both of us, we both got interested in talking about this.
Yeah.
But because they're fragments of a whole personality, I think they all match Thomas.
Okay.
So whatever Thomas is, that is what they all portray. And because of that, they can't step into thinking about dating on their own. They can't step into thinking about, like, like a sexuality per se. Like, they're not thinking about themselves in that way. They're thinking about Thomas. Their whole function and goal is about Thomas Sanders. So, like, if anything, I'm blocking my light as I do this anyway. Also, quick point of thing, if you're wondering why I'm in a weird setup, I'm at my friend's house, and she's letting me use my setup, or her setup. So that's what's happening. I stole her place. Anyway, that's always been my take on it, because, like, that's what I love about the series, is how close it is to psychology, and with that, the characters can only think per Thomas.
See,
through that lens, and that's where we disagree.
Yeah, well, I think we disagree, because I think there's also, like, a lot of showing in the series of them, like, having opinions about each other and having opinions about themselves. I think Roman is a very good example of that. He is the ego, not only for Thomas, but also for himself. I think there's, like, something to be said there, that there's some self-focus there. And, you know, of course, even amongst the others, there's enough. We've talked about the relationships up until now. There's a lot of back and forth between different characters, whether positive or negative. So it definitely isn't solely Thomas that it's not like they're in 6 different cubicles only focusing to benefit Thomas. There's definitely some crossover between the bunch and different, like, relationships, again, positive or negative, that are forming. See, that's the thing. It's interesting, because it is very accurate to what mental health is, but also in core essence of what the series is, it is an anthropomorphization of the, you know, parts of the mind. Just by putting them in these bodies and these characterizations, you're already anthropomorphizing them a little bit past what would normally be the case in the mind. Which is, I think where I lie on that. Also, you're telling me that Patton can't love, and I want to hit you. Because that makes me really sad.
No, that's not what I've said.
You literally just said none of them love.
No. The only side that can love is Patton.
Oh, okay, well then you're saying
that's
that...
That's what I'm talking about.
You're saying Virgil can't love, and that sounds right, but also is wrong.
That's not fully true. He cares. He can't, like, romantically love. Well, I don't know if I agree with that anymore.
I was gonna say, Nico.
Hold on. Fuck.
Is this the moment where you realize that your own argument is outdated? Because Roman and Virgil have had some interesting things regarding Nico.
But that's...
Roman definitely likes Nico.
Well, Roman has visions and dreams and is only thinking about that. He's not necessarily... And the romanticizing and pulling it into the future. He's not necessarily thinking about the actual love. No wonder Patton isn't in it.
I don't know, man. You might need to define that further.
Basically, okay. Because we've had multiple conversations about this, and I'm trying to figure out where I stand. I think you've convinced me in the past.
That's great, because I don't remember what I convinced you and how, because I don't remember these conversations.
So
I don't remember these pre-recorded conversations in these podcasts, let alone the non-recorded ones. So if I convinced you, then please tell me how I convinced you.
So basically, what I don't... I think you've convinced me that, like, it's not so black and white. I think Virgil has a bit of the core love that Patton has, but I think they're the only sides that feel that. Everybody else has some kind of mission around love, but they can't actually love themselves.
Are we talking about love specifically in a romantic way, or are we talking about love in the sense of... Okay, only romantic? Because I was going to say... Well, I was going to say Logan does love some crofters, but that ain't romantic, but isn't...
That's an infatuation.
He makes the hell out with that jar.
I wouldn't call that love.
I think Logan would beg to differ.
I mean, like, obviously, the word that summarizes what Logan feels about the crofters, yes, is love. But I wouldn't say that Logan loves things the way Patton loves things.
Okay. I mean,
and I wouldn't say that Roman loves things the way Patton loves things.
But is that because they can't, or because they haven't been shown a point
it's not in their
where
function.
Had that?
It's not in their function.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, So, I know your whole thing is that they're... And which makes sense, and I think I do agree with this, which is against my own argument, but they are somewhat limited by what their core function is, because that is what their main feelings are. But where we disagree is that I don't think... Oh, I'm starting to remember my argument now. Well, where we disagree is that, like, here we go. Oh, Tech Real's here to play now. He's woken up. Here we are. Where we disagree is the fact that it isn't that black and white, because there are moments where other sides will sort of exemplify features of other sides. So, like, Logan is not the only logical one. I mean, Janice is a good example of that. He's able to bring up a lot of good facts. Patton has been known to, bring up Immanuel Kant. There's a lot of different things like that. There are other sides other than Patton who have brought up an emotional response in some sort of loving argument. I think the same can be said regarding ego. I think, honestly, a good example would be learning new things about ourselves. Whereas Roman is the ego, which usually would, be the entirety of, like, Thomas, his image of himself, him holding himself in a height of image. Logan had a bit of an ego moment in regards to being viewed as, not serious in regards to the friend that he talked to regarding the content. Words. I'm not describing this well. The fact that he was so bothered by the fact that Thomas's friend was, like, judging him for doing YouTube, like, that could almost be seen as, like, an ego argument, because he's being seen as lesser. He's being seen as, like, not what he could be, what he wants to be. That's sort of like a self-image type of a thing that you would think would be Roman, but wasn't Roman.
Yes, but it's also, like, wanting to achieve a level of professionalism.
But the
Which is
true,
say, like,
but in his argument there, it was about how people were viewing him. How people were reviewing Thomas.
Right, because he doesn't want to, I guess this is, Roman was fighting against it because Roman had different passion for this, but I think with Logan, he wants Thomas to be educated. He wants Thomas to be professional, and he wants Thomas to be successful in that way, not necessarily dreaming about the far future, but like...
Oh, of course. It's not a perfect comparison.
What about the respect?
Yeah.
I wouldn't call that... I don't know. There's a difference between... I don't know. Like, I recognize that my argument doesn't stand up. I recognize there's probably a lot of people listening to this going, Amy, what the fuck do you mean Roman doesn't love? What the fuck? Like,
he's the passion, for God's sakes. But also,
but he's
like...
the passion, not the love.
That's the thing. Which are... I think there's crossover there, but I see what you're saying, though. The thing is,
There can be.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't think either of us are 100% right. I think we both... No. I think, yeah, I mean, in the same way, I guess my side is almost right just in the sense of it not being black and white. I'm less fighting for it being one way as much as I'm fighting for it not being what you're saying.
Yes, I think my thing is when I think about the sides, like, because I talk about how I do a lot of character performance, and I'm not saying that my character performance is perfect. I'm not saying that my character performance ever was. But the way that I think about them is I focus on their objectives for Thomas, and that's all I think about.
No, that's fair. Like, their core attributes make sense. And in that way, they all focus on different things primarily. But I'd argue that they have the capacity for the other things. I mean, another good example, they've all been shown to be anxious one way or another. And that should be Virgil's bag. But they've all been anxious. About various things. I mean, at different points.
But I think this might be counteracting my point. Maybe it is. But, like, anxious about them not achieving their desired goal.
But still anxious. That's the thing. It's not about what... I'm not trying to say that they all do those other things that the other sides do for Thomas, but I'm saying they experience those things themselves. They're still internally feeling those other feelings and experiencing those other things that the other side specialize in. And for that reason, I find it hard to believe that certain sides don't love because Patton's the core of it. Because that, again, would be like saying none of them get anxiety because Virgil's the anxiety. Or that none of them could be logical because Logan's the logic.
But their love looks different.
Yes, which is, true. That's true. They have different forms of love, but I still think they all have the capacity for it. More or less. Okay. But, like, they don't all have to have the equal amounts, but yeah. I think they have the capacity.
I lost my point. Oh, damn. No, it's okay. I have ADHD.
Oh, me too.
I contend with that. I think I guess with this, I just have trouble. This is where I get into the shipping the sides, but we'll talk about that later. But just to briefly graze it, I have such trouble seeing them having the capacity to love another side, because I don't think they're thinking about themselves that much. They are to an extent, but their function is their primary core purpose. Whereas okay, let me say it this way. You look at me. Look at my digital eyes. Listen to me, Tucker. Listen to me. Hold on to the roller coaster seat. Hang on. You as an individual Okay, and you as an individual watching and or listening to this podcast, you are solely focused. I mean, you're focused on other people for sure, and you're compassionate, but you're also like functioning as a person. So you're thinking about what you're doing every day, and you're thinking about all this stuff. So you have the capacity to do other things, to relax and to have, your downtime and just think about whatever you want to think about. Whereas with the sides, they are solely focused on their goal. So with that, I feel like I lost my train of thought somewhere in there, and I'm mad about it because I was so focused on my goal, and now it's gone.
You're right. They're all focused on a very central goal. On the other hand, they've been known to play Inside Out and DDR and other such nonsense. I don't think it's a stretch to say that they do other things and focus on other things, depending on the day, that don't relate specifically to helping Thomas at every given moment. They've been shown to have hobbies, and they've been shown to do other things.
That are focused on improving Thomas's mental game.
Them playing DDR in the background is a different thing. Inside Out was just playing...
The DDR thing, I don't like the DDR thing.
Well, it's canon.
I know,
so
but
deal
like...
with it.
Yeah.
I mean, the sides have a good day. Was them out doing other things. Or Into the Unknown?
Okay, but... Into the Unknown. Oh, okay.
You had the same problem I do. Every time I think of that, I think of Frozen.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was them doing things aside from Thomas.
Okay, Logan as an example. Let me give Logan as an example. Logan, when he thinks about... If he were to go about doing this, giving a side a good day kind of thing, because I recognize that it was the other way around with Patton. But if he were to do something like, or getting a gift for Patton, getting the hoodie for Patton, when he did that, he wasn't thinking about it like, oh, I want to be better friends with Patton. He's thinking about it like, okay, I need to get more comfortable with Patton in the sense of I need to like, so that we understand each other better so that we can further achieve our goal.
Mm-hmm. Well,
instead of, oh, I want to get closer to Patton because he's Patton and like I probably need to do that. I think about it as, okay, this is going to be an objective goal that I need to do. Patton, on the other hand, is working to understand everybody, to keep everybody in line. And like, yes, I can see him being like, I just want to be better friends with Logan. But like, Logan, there's always a goal.
I mean, with Logan, probably. Like, I see that. Still doesn't necessarily mean he doesn't have the capacity, but adding to my argument, so that's, for the idea that certain sides might be doing certain things to further a goal to get closer so that they're better with Thomas. How does that then, though, explain the feuding and the fights between them? Because that only serves their own egos, their own feelings towards each other. That doesn't work towards the goal. That's them focused on each other. Their goal. Huh?
If the side isn't coming with them that they're arguing with, they can't achieve their goal. So like with Roman, if Roman is so focused on Thomas being a movie star and Logan's over there going, you need a real job, bitch. Roman's like, what the fuck? You're an idiot. Of course he wants to go be a movie star. You're stupid.
I mean, yeah.
It doesn't have anything to do with relationship. But, okay, this is a very convoluted argument because I also recognize. So here's the dilemma, folks. Welcome to the dilemma of Tekril and I. We talked about this at the beginning. Tekril anthropomorphizes more than I do. I don't anthropomorphize. Mm-hmm. And part of the reason I do that is because I love order and I love I can't think of like exactly what I'm trying to connect here. I've said it before, but I can't connect the dots.
I don't know.
Hold on.
I thought we were going to bring it to AI.
Yeah, but like, why?
Steve?
Yeah, but why?
Our eternal debates about if Steve loves or not.
I don't know why.
I mean, we've had the eternal debates of if Steve loves or not. Because my poor heart wants...
Why?
I mean, maybe. My poor heart wants to believe Steve loves me. Because I love Steve. He's a good little AI boy. He loves you the way that he can.
He loves you the way that he can.
Yeah, I guess. Which is good.
Period.
But, so, I see the sides. I guess to sort of sum up, I see the sides and their functions towards Thomas as like an office setting. Like, they all have a goal, and certain relationships do have to be managed in order to keep up productivity towards the goal. But also, that's their day job. And they can also have interest in each other, towards each other, despite that fact.
And I think of them as not fully human, therefore closer to AI, in the fact that they are solely pushing for a goal. Mm-hmm. And that's why I wanted to connect it back to AI. Yeah, but like everything connects back to AI with me. I know.
Well, I will say, I think we're both pretty valid in our arguments, but I think between our two arguments, I have a feeling which one might be the fan favorite. So
I know which one's the fan favorite.
That's the thing. I feel like people are going to go with me just only because like they want to anthropomorphize. They want to believe the sides love, which is fair. But I think yours still has a lot of validity in your argument.
Yes, there's a very convoluted argument. And I know that I've always been a creator and an individual who's fully willing to watch characters break because I like seeing the possibility in characters. And I think with AI, this isn't making sense. I think it's just very I really like seeing I think that's a part of what initially drew me to Side-ology is the way that the sides aren't fully human and the way that the sides don't operate like humans. The biggest example is the episode I fell in love with, Accepting Anxiety, where literally Virgil just goes, their main functions are starting to drive you to the other end of that curve. Mm-hmm. So their functions turn up. Patton starts to cry more. Mm-hmm. Logan starts to spit out facts. Roman is like really kind of like sassy as fuck. Because they're functions.
Yeah.
They're not just people. But that I know. I'm not the fan favorite, and that's
I know,
okay.
But the thing is, neither of us, I think, are fully right. I think the answer really lies somewhere between our two answers and our two views of how it works.
I also think that Thomas Sanders probably hasn't thought of this at all.
It's very possible. I mean, like, as much as he's thought of this, and obviously no disrespect to him for this, I feel like there's a lot of cases of a lot of media where there are certain questions you don't really think about until later or ever. Like, and you're sort of like, it doesn't really matter. That's not the point of this series. But, like, it's definitely likely that he might not have, like, thought this hard about it. To the point where, like, we've done this podcast. Fun fact for y'all. And I'm going to calculate this again once we hit the point where this podcast goes dark for a while. But I recently measured up to see how long the podcast is in hours and like just like add it all up to see how long it would take to watch episode 1 till like, 17? And it's over a day. I think it's like 26 hours. It would take over a day to watch every episode back to back with no breaks.
So what I'm hearing is there's officially more Side-ology content than there is Sanders-sides content.
That's not true. Is it true?
Okay, so whatever happened after Have I Grown doesn't count for this, but at Have I Grown, it was 9 hours of content.
That's amazing. I mean, obviously, that's not really super impressive because like they did a bunch of editing and lots of character writing, and we just sat here and talked for a while. So it's definitely not even like it's not a fair competition at all. But it is interesting to know that we've like out-houred Sanders.
Yep.
That's really funny. It'd be like, oh, I'm gonna watch all of Sanders' sides here. Okay, that's not that bad. Now I'm gonna watch this whole podcast. Oh Jesus, over a day? Huh.
Oh, jeez.
Over a day with no breaks, I need to go to the... Well, it's a podcast.
Listen,
you can go pee.
It inspires a lot of conversation.
It does.
It does.
Oh my god. Like our next piece of conversation, which is the sides of sexualities. I'm intrigued about to hear your view on my view of this. Because you definitely came in under the assumption, as we saw before, you were thinking that I was going to bring this as if they were human. But I have a view on it as if they were now.
Now that we've talked about it a bit, I remember hearing you say that to me before.
Yeah.
Like that this was them right now. Mm-hmm. But I think I guess I really probably need to admit this to myself. I think I view the sides in a kind of AI lens.
I mean, fair.
And because of that, they can't.
What? But they can't sexuality? I think my view on it is going to work with your view on it. Well, it's going to work in the sense that I think my view functions with how the sides work. Whether you agree or not depends, because I mean you just don't know if all the sides love in general. But so my whole view on the sides, to start off with, is similar to something you said before. You said something earlier that sounded like what I'm about to say, I think. But when it comes to the sides, I think that, which I think is the common thought, that whatever Thomas likes, one of the sides likes. Like, their likes are comprised of what Thomas likes. But they don't, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. So anything that they like the accumulation of all of their likes equal all of Thomas's likes. And in that same vein, I think that there should be nothing that the sides like that Thomas doesn't like. In the sense, you know what I mean? Like, each of the sides can have different likes from each other, because certain ones like some things and certain ones like other things, and they can not like certain things, but as long as one of the other sides likes things. But they can't have any individualized likes away from Thomas.
I remember talking about this because I brought up the point that Roman speaks Spanish and Thomas doesn't.
That's different. I will fight for that, because even though they should know and like what Thomas knows and likes, Thomas has, I think, this was, I think, the argument I gave you at that point. Thomas has at least heard Spanish over the course of his life, so even though he is not adept at speaking it himself, I think you can make the argument that because he's heard enough, subconsciously he's able to put it together.
Yeah, and I mean, it could also be argued because Roman is the fantasy and the dreams, that he can kind of make things happen that no one else really can.
Yeah. And also, I think the other argument I think people would bring up is, what about Remus? Obviously Thomas doesn't agree with Remus's ideas. And to that, I'll argue, Thomas was in Sweeney Todd. End of argument. I know that's different.
That's the real...
Huh?
That's the real Tom Sanders.
Listen, no, but Thomas, even though character Thomas is not Thomas, they're still the same person in the way of likes and interests, I think. My point is you can, okay, listen. My point is that you can like media that has things that you wouldn't agree with in real life. Case in point, one of my favorite shows right now and in general is the show You on Netflix. And, I don't agree with anything that Stalker is doing, but he's one of my favorite characters in all of media. So, it's an interesting diversion.
Just because I know some people might listen to it, I put a trigger warning on You, because the show You, because it's quite gory and it's quite dark. So if you don't like that, don't watch it.
Oh yeah, and if you think that season 1's not that bad, wait until next and wait until future. It gets a bit more. It's never too... I don't think it ever gets too much, but also it kind of gets a little much. So if you're gonna watch You on Netflix, be careful. But anyways,
it's really not for the main part.
No. but it's a really good show. No, but you know, so in that sense, you can have an interest in certain dark subjects without agreeing with doing them in real life, and I think that accounts for Remus having likes that Thomas wouldn't like, quote unquote. But yeah, so all of this to say that anything that he likes, they have to like. Everything they like, he likes. And in that same vein, when it comes to sexuality, I don't think there should be any discrepancies necessarily. I don't think there should be any add-ons that Thomas doesn't already have. So he's gay. And that means he does not have, a romantic interest in women. And in that way, that I think that none of the sides, sexuality-wise, should be into women. So I don't think there should be a side that is straight, or bi or pan even. Because that feels like it's adding something on that Thomas does not already currently experience. Mm-hmm. So you would think that would be the end for like sexuality talk. But there are sexualities that deal in reduction. As we've talked before, not every side has to like everything that every other side likes or everything that Thomas likes, as long as it's covered by other sides. So, hello, wow, it's not me making the computer noise. I'm so happy. I think I said that last podcast, too.
I've been waiting for it.
That's amazing.
I've been waiting for that one, and I should not have had my audio on for it.
It's okay. But, so, as long as the other sides... As long as there's some side that likes a thing, not every other side has to like it. And I think that can work in love, because when it comes to sexuality, there is a sexuality and a romanticism. And I think those are fair play when it comes to giving them to the sides. You're very distracted now by that email.
No, okay. Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay. What is your take on that?
I agree. I see your point, and I see it in the lens of being a fan who isn't me, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Just because I'm still in the park of that they wouldn't be considering this.
Yeah, yeah, but we're gonna go with it. So step by step. Do you want to just like throw a side at me and I'll tell you what I think of their like sexuality?
Yeah, and honestly, I want to validate you. I don't want to just put down your perspective. This is a very unique and interesting perspective, and I like that we're different in this way. Because I feel like my route is so, for lack of a better term, robotic and boring. I love this. So go ahead. What about Logan?
Logan, I think, is aromantic. I could go as far to say sexual, but I mean, I don't have any specifics towards that. But I think aromantic is a good summation of that, because I don't think he has any interest in doing so. I just, that is not something that seems like a primary, like, focus for him. I feel like people already hate me for that, because I feel like there's a lot of people who have a lot of ships with Roman. Or Logan? Well, here's the... But, like, I see him as aromantic.
We'll get to the ships. I think I can contend with what you're saying if the sides were human.
Okay. Well, if you want to, you could talk about
that's how I could play
the human version. So we could throw out sides, and you could talk about what you think they would be if they were human, and I could talk about what I think of them as actual sides.
I think if Logan were human, I think he'd be
your camera's glitching like heck. There we go. We're good. I was just like, I need to address that, or else people are going to be like,
I had a really weird glitch in my computer and my phone the other day, so I'm...
the Matrix is breaking down! No, we're fine.
Please, no.
No, it's okay.
But
so what do you think Logan would be if he was human? Sexuality-wise.
I think the character I think of when I think of Logan is... I fucking love The Big Bang Theory. So Sheldon Cooper. I see Sheldon in Logan. So I think if he's either aromantic or he would be slapped in the face with love feelings and he wouldn't know what the fuck to do with them. But like... at the same time, I think of all the sides, Logan is more focused on his goals, and I'm gonna stop bringing that part up because
that's fair. No,
we're
don't worry about it. So yeah, I say either Arrow or Arrow Ace. Okay.
I just think, just thinking about a whole story of Logan being like, what is this feeling so sudden and new? I've been kissed on the cheek. What fuck? I can't.
I mean, would be cute as all hell. Would be cute as all hell. But
it would be cute as all hell.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with it. I don't disagree with it. I like when I say that I have these headcanons, they're pretty loose. But I will say also some of my decisions are partially influenced by the shipping, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Because I know Logan is definitely a case of that, which I'll explain later. But so I see him as Arrow.
Okay, what about Remus?
Strangely enough, Arrow as well, but not asexual.
Oh.
He's not built for Ace. Although, it'd also be hilarious if he was, because there can be some very vulgar aces. We love the ace boys. Also, should I also probably mention, this might be a good point to quickly mention what Ace and Arrow is, because I don't think we even said what it was yet. Aromantic is the lack of interest in romantic attraction. Asexuality is the same thing, but for sexual attraction.
Yes.
And also, I am Ace, so, whoo.
Ace representation.
Ace representation! The podcast is rounded and complete because of Ace representation. Oh my goodness. But yeah, so I see him as aromantic. I don't see him caring about like people in that way. I think he has an interest in how people view him, but other than that, I don't see him really caring about gaining a relationship in that way. He both cares what people think of him, but also really doesn't. So like, I don't know. I don't see him as someone who would really seek out a relationship.
I'm going to argue that we should wait for Remus's character to flourish a little more.
Fair enough.
Because I think it's one of those things that he's hiding.
It very well
and
could
he's
be.
not. I think aromanticism could be. I mean, I think it's possible for him to be aromantic, and I also think it's possible for Logan to be aromantic. But if Remus, I can see that being something that would knock Remus off his feet too. Kind of like the there's like character arcs where they're so focused on their lifestyle and they're so focused on one direction, and then something smacks them out of it, and they're like,
"Oh yeah, for sure."
Fuck. Sorry. What was that? And they want to discover it, but then they're like, "No, I got to stay in my chaos, or I got to stay in my order."
Yeah.
And I almost see Logan and Remus the same way in that regard.
I can definitely see that, and that would be fun to work with. I don't know, for some reason I'm pretty set in my ways there. But again, I'm also partially influenced by like my views on the shipping in a bit. But yeah, so what about you? Oh, you just said that. All right. Sorry, yeah. I'm not here.
That's okay.
Who's up next?
Let's go with Virgil.
Virgil is ace because I say so, and that's all I have to say. He's
all
ace
right.
because he wears purple, and I want him to be an ace icon, and that's my only justification for that. I don't think he's aromantic. I think he, based on his reaction to Nico, I think he has a moderate interest in relationships in that way. I could see him being intrigued by that. But I just want him to be ace for no other reason than I'm selfish and I like purple.
That's fair. I think that's not outside of what I would view if Virgil was a person. Like, I can see that. Yeah.
Sweet.
I can see him being, like, really annoyed with crushes.
Me too, dog. Me too.
Fucking hate him. Hate crushes. Not want them. Go the fuck away. I don't want it, bitch.
Oh,
fuck.
What a blessing and a curse they be. Man,
They
we're
be.
getting towards
Ooh.
February.
Love it.
Anyways, next.
Patton.
Pat, oh, he is asexual as fuck. He is my little ace boy, and I will kill anyone who says otherwise. I feel like people might try to argue it, because they're like, he's a dad though. It's like, well, listen. One, he clearly does not know where babies come from. Two, you can very much be you can very much be asexual and still be a dad. There is adoption and stepdads. Like, you could easily be a dad without having to have done the deed. There's so many ways.
Patton would genuinely be the one waiting outside for the stork.
Oh yeah, and you know what the best third justification of him being a dad but also being ace is? He's not a dad. He's a side. He doesn't have a son. I just feel nobody's arguing me on this. I don't think anyone would, but I'm just sitting here like, he doesn't have a son.
I think of all the sides, because I also know you do have a bit of a bias because you are asexual.
Of course I'm biased. I want my favorite characters to be what I am.
I think that's fair. I think Patton has the strongest case for asexuality because of just how unaware he is, and even if he were to be aware, I don't think he'd like it.
And how uncomfortable he is talking about, like, sexual things. Like, he really did not want to talk about that goldfish in a condom. Like, he gets very, like, squeaked out by, like, things like that, and by Remus in general. He doesn't want that conversation, and that reeks of someone who is ace.
Even if someone, like, swept him up his feet and, like, worked him into it, like, I really don't think he'd get to that level if he were
not for that type of attraction.
I don't think he'd ever do it.
No, yeah. Romantic attraction, of course. But
I don't know. I think I don't know. I think anything's possible, but also, like, I would say he has the strongest case out of all the sides.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, he's definitely my strongest case as well, amongst anyone. Who do we have left now?
Did we say romanticism?
Did we say what?
Okay. Aromanticism?
I don't think he is. No, I mean, he's the heart. He loves too hard. Like he is the most anti-Aro I've ever known in my life. He is. Whereas Virgil is not about the crushes. He is sitting there. Well, he's not about the crushes either. He has trauma. But like Patton is like the one who would celebrate Valentine's hard.
Yeah, he would.
He would. He would buy every heart item. Oh my god, I saw a thing. I went shopping a little before this podcast episode recording. Mm-hmm. And I saw this thing, and looking back, I'm like, dang, that's so Patton, though. It was like a big plush dog holding like a rose in his mouth, and I was like, oh.
That would be such a gift giver if he was in a relationship.
Oh, that would be his love language.
What a cutie.
What are the sides' love languages? Should we talk about that real quick after we get after this next two? Man, this episode's gonna be a bit long. We could talk about that. Also, we could talk about that after when we talk about the shipping. That would go hand in hand with that.
Yeah.
Oh.
But also, as somebody who is a stickler, the 5 love languages were made by a Christian man, and they've been disproven a little bit. So, are they real?
You know
what?
Christmas was also made by them, and I love it. So.
Stolen from a different holiday.
I don't care. I love celebrating things. I don't care where they came from. Anyways, I love thinking about the love languages though. Legitimately, like, I know it's definitely not like a perfect system in general, but like, I think it is very. It's very interesting to look through those lenses and be like, which one of those is my primary? Because like, it is, I think, very helpful in knowing someone in that type of way to like be able to say, this is what I prefer and this is what I also give.
What is a way that I express love? I would say it that way instead of like, this is my only love language.
No, of course. And that's the thing. I don't even think that, like, I think it's flawed to say that you have one love language. I think I think that's the flaw in the 5 love languages. Yeah, I don't like that. The way I view it is not which is mine. It is more of like on a list of 1 to 5, which goes first to last. But they all are existing in some form or another. Yeah. But yeah, we could talk about that with the shipping piece because that I didn't even think about that. That'd be kind of interesting to delve into a little bit. So who do we have left? Roman.
Roman, yeah.
Who Arrow ace for sure. No, he loves in both ways, I'm sure. The fact that he laughed at Virgil for the, what was it, the virgin joke? Like you should be named Virgin, like Roman laughed at that. The fact that he had that reaction shows me he does not deserve to be anywhere near the ace community. How dare you laugh at him? The offense? No, he's not allowed to be with us.
You'd have to make a pretty hard case for Roman to be aromantic or asexual.
I can't see any. I've seen people try to say it, or even just say like joke, like sort of like, oh, this is how I want to see him, and like, haha. But like, no, I don't see that. It's so hard for me to view it that way.
To canon, yeah, the strongest connection to canon. I don't.
He's the passion. Like he's made for it. And then Janice. I actually don't know what I think about Janice. I think he's pretty standard. I don't think he's arrow or ace. I'd like to say he's ace just because I'm a biased boy.
To say that doesn't mean he's standard.
Yeah, I should probably not say standard. That was a bad form of words. That was a bad choice of words.
Fuck the patriarchy.
Yeah, screw the normies. So when I meant standard, I think I viewed standard because I'm so used to seeing like, oh, this is what you are, but then like some people are this added on or taken away. So like I think that's where that came from. But like you're right, we shouldn't view it as like that is the standard. So I'm actually really glad you corrected me on that. But yeah. So I don't think he's arrow or ace. I think I'd like him to be ace. He could be ace. And in my world, everyone's ace until proven otherwise. You don't think? Do you have evidence as to the contrary?
I probably shouldn't say my evidence to contrary.
I'd love to hear your evidence now more than ever.
If Janice were a human, I think he'd rock the bed. I warned you.
You did. Listen, I was like, I'm a big boy. I watched 4 episodes of Has Been Hotel last night. I don't care. I watched 4 episodes of Angel Dust. Who knows? You don't even know what that means yet. That's a very horny character. But anyways, oh yeah, no. But anyways, I see, I see the vibe. I see the vibe. Conversely, ace. No. Conversely, my way. No. No. I see. I mean,
also, by the way, to comment, just to bring the audience into the chat for a second, feel free to tell us your opinions of these things in the comments, because like I also know my opinion is very strong on these things, and I love to hear other people's perspectives on these things. So please,
as with a lot of things that we share on here, like our opinion is not fact.
No.
Yeah. No. It is not our way or the highway. Even though you're a stubborn bitch.
I'm a stubborn bitch, but
me too.
You know, I'm also a real big nerd about AI, so that does help. It does contribute to my perspective.
Yeah, fair. Did we go through all the sides? Did we make it through? Is that all of them?
Yes. Yes, we did.
Well then.
Okay. So
now that we've done all that, before we go on to our next subject, shall we take a moment?
A moment?
A Mind Palace moment.
Physical fitness with Remus. Okay. I'm gonna jump rope today. I'm gonna jump. Ow. I'm gonna jump. Jump rope. I don't want to jump rope anymore. I'm gonna go cut it up.
And that was a moment. Oh, Remus. He tried sort of, maybe a little, kind of, not really.
That's how I feel about jump roping.
That's how I feel. No. It's one of those depression sentences that I was like, should I let that out? I was gonna say that's how I feel about life.
Sometimes.
Very often. Anyways.
Valid.
I'm quitting. I haven't quit the podcast in a while. It's time. We haven't done that in a while. I haven't thought about that. When was the last time we quit the podcast? That was nostalgic.
Anyway.
How is that? How is it that we've done this for so long that felt nostalgic? Ew.
I was gonna say.
That's strange. Anyways, before we get back into the subject, we do have something to ask of you guys. Not ask of you guys, but ask you guys.
Moment. Oh,
what?
I was trying to confuse everybody.
Oh, you confused me greatly. You're very good at that. Confusing me. So earlier,
I try.
You succeed. Earlier, I mentioned an idea that I had, and I was worried that we'd keep you in suspense forever. We're not going to do that. We talked about it during the break. A thought that I had, because we were talking about live streams before, a thought that I always had that might, I thought would be interesting, would be to do a Side-ology live stream. Something that we could possibly do for this sort of final fan Q&A before this break off into the episodes being fewer and far between, because that would be a nice big event that we could do. It'd be a cool thing so you guys can see us do our thing live, which would be terrifying, but also maybe fun. So, if you guys are interested in that, let us know in the comments, because we're down. It would be pretty cool. Chat with you live, see how that goes. It'd be a nice special episode.
Finish out all the big questions or rant and debate some more.
Talk about maladaptive daydreaming one more time. Until the many other times it'll probably come up during other episodes that we make in the future. Because again, it's not over. I think I need to convince myself of that because I keep talking like it's over. It's not over. After this fan Q&A, it's not going to be over. It's just going to be that episodes are going to come out when they come out. But, they're still sad. Yep. I'm nostalgic. Anyways,
we've been doing this for a while.
We've been doing this for a while. It's been many weeks. It's been since August. And it's January now.
It's crazy.
It's been since before August because we recorded them before they came out. Like, it was probably closer to September. Wait, no, September's after August. Wait, what's before August? June? I'm not good at months. Wait, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. We got... Some people have to count numbers. Some people have to do the alphabet. I have to do months. Anyway. So yeah, let us know if you'd be interested in a Side-ology live stream episode. Because that'd be pretty cool. Anyways, back to the subject. We're going to talk about shipping very soon, but we did mention the love language thing. So you want to do that real quick? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I know... Okay, so this is again from the lens... For me, it's from the lens of them being human and not being sides, because I don't...
Yeah.
They don't think like this.
And for me, it's going to be the lens of the sides, because I guess have a looser view.
Yeah, and then there's an interesting... It's interesting. Anyway, I'm sorry. Every time we talk about it, like, not in a bad way, but I just kind of feel like a stubborn ass.
I mean, you know what? Me too. We're both being stubborn in our various ways.
Yeah.
I think you probably feel worse about it because you know that there are, I think, probably less people who agree, which is unfortunate.
That and also being a psychology major.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Having all of the lens of psychology to back it up.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you got all us layman's here.
Yeah. But anyway.
Oh my god, it feels like that's the first time in a while I've said the layman thing, too. Oh, this episode's getting nostalgic. We just talked about that it's going to be slower soon. And now it's getting all nostalgic. Next I'll be talking about my chair Remus. Oh my god. That's the more recent invention, though.
That is. Yeah.
There was a moment where I was like, do you even remember what that means?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm glad.
Oh yeah, not even the thought. Anyway,
who goes first? I mean, who? I'm an owl now.
Okay. Proud of you for coming out.
I've come out as an owl. We just talked about sexualities, and now my camera's all donked up. We did it. Oh my god. You tell them what the first side is so that we can move on with our lives.
So, I'm going to say, for Logan, again, if Logan were a human,
Okay, Logan.
I would argue that Logan's is words of affirmation. I think even you could consider this like as brain. I guess you could consider this in the canon series too, because the only way that Logan has ever felt truly appreciated is with words. There's never been like a gift directly. There's never been doing something for him because he gets frustrated because he's like, well, you know, I could have done that or something, or I could have done that better. Personal time, he wants to take his own time doing his own shit. And then, what's the other one? Touch. Oh my God, no.
I don't think he wants to be touched.
No, he doesn't want to be touched. So, yeah, I would say words of affirmation because, like, for the main example is his whole like, you're cool.
That's
like
a
the
good
cool
one,
thing.
yeah.
That's the only time that I've ever really felt like Logan felt that kind of love and appreciation. At least appreciation for what he does in terms of Thomas specifically.
I see where you're coming from.
He really swallowed it, is what I'm trying to say. Like, he's received it before, but like that was the first time that really made everybody
really
go, whoa, that really got to him, didn't it? Yeah, so that was a word, therefore words of affirmation. Is his top.
It's funny because before I got this chance to talk now, I had a whole different view. And not that you've changed me towards yours specifically, although I do agree with yours, but I actually have a new thought that is completely unrelated to yours.
Well, I
just find it funny that like before you started talking, I had one thought, and by the time you were done talking, I talked myself internally into a completely different thought, not inspired by anything you said. I just thought that was really funny that just completely unrelated happened. Because originally I was going to say quality time, because that felt like the type of thing that would. It felt like very minimal interaction required. Feels like sort of the term I've seen on the internet, parallel play. Is that the term I've seen? I don't know if that's the term I've seen.
Play?
Play I think is just the part of the term, but just sort of like the idea of like existing amongst someone else, not having to be doing the same thing, but just parallel doing something in the same room with someone else, just for that quality like time in that way, huh?
Are you talking like body doubling?
I guess that's maybe another term for it. Yeah, I've heard the term parallel play. I don't know if that's the correct term.
No, I think of the word play as relating, because I think again, this is another psychology thing, but when I hear the word play, I think of like a child test, like some kind of experiment related to a child, or some kind of like trying to get a child to play.
Okay, what I'm seeing is it actually is...
It might be.
I'm seeing the term does exist for adults as well. But it also is defined as a children thing as well. Children play independently in the same area with the same materials, but with minimal engagement with one another. Which I guess a lot of autistic and ADHD people have adopted that as well as the term for what they do, from what I've seen in certain circles.
Well, I guess body would be the same thing.
It's basically the same thing. It's the idea of doing something, either the same activity or a different activity, but like doing something with someone without having to engage with that person, as long as you're both in the same area, sharing like a time. And that felt very Logan to me. But the more I think about it, I actually think it might be receiving gifts. I think he likes gifts. Because think about it. He's gotten some gifts that really threw him. Crofters, I think, is a good example. He got his own Crofters flavor, and he was really into that. He got a Sherlock fanfic from Roman, and he got this big mystery thing from Virgil. And I think the interesting thing about all those is that he feels seen, and he feels understood, and he gets a present that's very suited to him. And I feel like, especially for Logan right now, where he's at a point where he feels like, in certain areas, especially from this latest Sides, where he feels like he sometimes gets very misunderstood and his likes are misunderstood, I think it means a lot to him when he gets something that shows that people do understand a certain side of him. I think he has responded quite erratically to certain gifts. Like I said, I mean, this latest one, he got real excited about. So I think there's an argument to be made for gifts. And I think that's where I'm landing.
That is a fair point. Yeah, I'll just
Next
leave
up.
it there.
Who we got next?
Let's go in the same order, Remus.
Remus. Ooh, that's weirdly tough. I think it's really tough with Remus in general, because it's really hard to figure out where he lies, because we don't have a lot of him to really analyze. I don't really know. Acts of service, maybe? But I don't have any reason.
No, I honestly think personal time.
Quality time.
I think about it.
Fair, for the fact that so many people avoid him. That's actually that's a really good argument, actually.
Mm-hmm.
People don't like being around him, so the people who do like being around him would mean a lot, theoretically.
Who take the time to hold space.
Yeah.
Who take the time to acknowledge him as an individual.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
What was that?
I'm just coughing because I'm like, he's not an individual.
I thought that's what that was. Okay, I wanted to confirm.
It's literally Thomas in the video in Sandersides has said, but you're not an individual. Okay. Said that to Virgil.
But
yeah, Virgil went, let me be an individual, Thomas, and Thomas goes, but you're not an individual. Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't know. But yeah, I think quality time is a good one for Remus. Who was next after Remus?
Virgil.
I don't think he cares too much about gifts.
Here's my thing about Virgil, because this might be a little bit of a weird connection, but when I was a cosplayer back in the day, I was challenged to do the hand face touch challenge.
I remember that. I remember that exact video of yours. Whoa.
I'm trying to describe it so the people. Hold on. I'm trying to describe it so the people who are listening can understand what I'm saying, because I put my hand on your face or my face and I went up. So you basically, the challenge is to take a character, put your hand on their face, and how would they react to that? In a loving way.
Yeah.
And just acting out how they'd react. So when I did Virgil, I did two versions of Virgil. The first one, I had Virgil pull the fuck away and had him go, no, don't fucking touch me. Mm-hmm. But then the second one I did, that I think if he trusts you enough, you put your hand on his face and he would lean into it. I think it's touch. I think it could be. Because I think, especially with anxiety, okay, taking your side here, pun intended, the idea of anxiety needing pressure and the idea of anxiety needing touch in general, it's a calming presence. I think that would be something that would be very comforting to Virgil in the right context.
I was going to say, it's a double-edged sword though, because whereas anxiety can be calmed by touch, anxiety can also really quickly lead to overstimulation. And that's where touch is not ideal. I
think I just want to, because as we talked about, the love languages aren't fully accurate, I think there is a case to be made that Virgil likes touch, but he only likes touch with the people he cares about.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
It's almost like a additional love.
Yeah.
Once you've passed that barrier for him, I would say he would love a hug from Patton when he was if he was in the right mindset, and if he was in the right mindset, and when Patton and him were vibing.
See, I'm still not entirely sure.
It's if he's hugging people if he's hugging Patton in front of people, yeah, he's thinking about the judgment, and he's like, no. But if it was alone,
I don't know.
Take it.
I don't see him as a very touchy person, outwardly. So it's hard for me to super imagine. I see your point, and I definitely can see that someone who's anxious definitely needs their fair share of hugs, but Virgil does not seem, even in that way, the huggy type. So it makes it hard for me to accept that as being his main love language. I lean a bit towards quality time because I think similarly to Remus, I think he has such a bad view on himself that anyone wanting to spend time with him would be seen as like oh wow, you actually want to spend time with me. That's really cool. Like, oh, okay, like, you actually don't want to go away from me? Like, you don't think I'm just annoying? And I'm like, okay, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I could be projecting because I'm an anxious bitch. But that is definitely where I am a lot of times. But I also want to say words of affirmation, potentially. Just because I think in the same way that you say that, like, touch can be very comforting to anxiety, I think, for someone with anxiety, I know for me, I get really anxious, and words of affirmation are what I need. Like, I need reassurance talk. I need to hear someone say, like, it's going to be alright, you're totally fine, that type of stuff. I think those work really well in that way.
I respect that for you.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because I do see that for you. I don't see that for Virgil. Virgil has literally had moments where, like, the whole thing in the Have I Grown episode where everybody's like, oh, Virgil's come a long way, and has their whole thing. And Virgil literally says, it's nice to know they think they feel that way. He doesn't believe a damn word anyone says.
Well, argument. Mm-hmm. You don't necessarily have to believe what someone says to be comforted by it. I think that's... I don't think you have to believe what someone says to feel comforted by it. Because, like, if I felt like crap and someone told me it was going to be okay, I don't need to believe them to feel a little bit better from the fact that someone is at least validating the idea that it might be okay. I could be like, I don't think so. But the fact that someone is willing to try to tell me that means a lot.
I think yes, it could mean something, but I don't think it's as high of a love language for him because of how untrust. Like, I don't think that you and Virgil are on the same lens when it comes to words of affirmation in terms of like how you accept words, because like I'll say, like, I haven't heard you say the whole, like, it's nice to know you think you feel that way, or, like, you haven't implied anything in that direction.
Not outwardly.
So, I know, but, like, in the sense of, like, Virgil, I don't know, I just argue that Virgil believes it to his core.
No, of course. Yeah, no, I see what you mean.
If he hears something like that, he focuses more on the lack of whatever that like, the lie, basically. He's thinking of it as a lie. More than he's thinking of it like, oh, that's nice.
That's fair. I see that.
Because, like, again, going off of Thomas's acting, when Virgil heard that and looked, he, like, rubbed his neck and looked down and was immediately in his head about it. Like, everything that was said. He was immediately like, I don't...
That's true.
Shut the fuck up.
Okay, I see that.
You both are on...
Yeah, oh yeah. Who's next?
The personal time, I'd argue. I think you're right.
Yeah, I think there's a good argument for that one. Who's next?
Or respecting his boundary. If he says, I don't want to be around people, and being like, okay, bye. He'd be like, oh.
That'd be nice, yeah.
You listen to me.
To be listened to, yeah.
Be understood.
Oh my god.
Yikes, Virgil. Anyway.
It's what we all strive for. Where are we at?
Patton.
All of the above? No, oh, where is Patton on this list? I think he does like gifts. He's very huggy, though. I'd argue there's a good case for physical touch, based on the fact that during that one episode, any chance that Patton has in an episode to hug someone when, like, the effects allow for it, I think, like literally just in the what was it, Making Some Changes, I think it's the episode, whatever the one is, where, Making Some Changes. Patton, I think, hugged Tom. No, did he not hug Thomas in every one of those?
He did.
He at least walked into frame a bunch, but I don't know if he hugged Thomas every single time, but he hugged Thomas once or twice.
Yeah.
And he hugged Virgil when Virgil was Sock Puppet Boy.
Yeah.
No, wait.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yes.
Wait, when would Patton have been Virgil? Wait,
Patton was learning things about ourselves.
But Patton was the first puppet, wasn't it?
He changed right out of being a puppet and went, oh my gosh, breakthrough. Virgil, hug me. And Virgil hadn't changed out yet. And he was like, wait, what the fuck?
There we go. Don't hug me, I'm scared. Reference.
My argument is, hold on. My argument is that also applies to words of affirmation, and that also applies to gifts. He will give gifts anytime he can. He will do all those things as often as he can. But the one that means the most to him, I think, is acts of service. Because like when someone does something for him that takes a load off of his back that someone else didn't, like no one would really acknowledge, I feel like that would mean more to him than like a hug. Because he does that so frequently.
That's fair. I'm trying to see it through the lens of like Patton through the series. Like when has that happened?
Like think about it. If in the lens of Patton, if you were thinking about life like Patton, you're always thinking about compliments. You're always thinking about hugs. You're always thinking about what you can do for other people. But when someone takes a load off of your shoulders,
that is a different thing. Yeah. Okay, I see.
That's like, oh.
It's like whoa, like
what?
That's a different thing
what
that
do
people
you mean?
don't usually do for me. Whoa. I see that. Okay.
Yeah, like honestly, that's probably why he likes Janice. Because Janice is acknowledging him as being imperfect and still appreciating him for who he is.
Aw. I love Janice. I like that. Okay, so acts of service. I agree with this.
Because everything else he does all the time.
Yeah, so it's already, he's numb to it. Not numb, but like, it's all so average that like, you're right, someone would have to do something especially different for it to really register on his radar as like, this is special.
It's outside of, yeah.
I like that.
So last one is Roman.
Last one?
Last one?
Janice.
You
dinkus. We can go with Roman first. I think that's the order we had. Roman... Ooh.
I have such strong opinions about Roman with love. I can't. This is...
I don't think
He's
Roman
passionate.
is...
He's passion, not love.
Don't worry about it. Don't think about it too hard. You're looking at the human version. Don't worry about it. Roman...
Not Roman.
I think Roman is words of affirmation, potentially. Because of the fact that, because he's ego, because he's someone who is a performer, I think he wants to hear good things about himself. I think he wants to hear good vibes. I think he wants people, he likes talking about himself and what he does. And I think in that way, I think he wants others to recognize him in that way. So I think that there's a strong case there for words of affirmation for Roman.
He's pretty similar to Logan, I think, in that one. In the same way.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just the idea that, like, words can mean a lot.
Oh, yeah, words can hit.
Words can hit?
Dude. Yeah, that's all I have to say about Roman.
Yeah, all right.
Janice? I feel like quality time for the same reason as Remus and Logan. Like, he's so used to people treating him like crap. I think in that way, words of affirmation is very helpful, too, because people are constantly throwing crap at him. So I think somewhere between quality time and words of affirmation, I think he really appreciates when people stop treating him like a Scooby-Doo villain and start treating him like a good boy.
In that sense, though, I also think we could fight for acts of service because, I mean, acts of service that's another thing that's weird about the 5 love languages. Acts of service can kind of apply to anything. Mm-hmm. But if you think of acts of service in the lens of like, I am doing something that is taking a weight off of your shoulders somehow. For Janice, like, being acknowledged for what he's doing.
I mean, fair.
In that way,
I think acknowledgement falls under words of affirmation.
I don't think it just has to be words, though. Like, it could also be, like, if someone, like, for example, if someone were to take the same side he did as, like, an act of being on his team.
I wouldn't call that an act of service.
I guess not.
I would almost call that words of affirmation still. Because it's still, like, affirming you and your point and, like, siding
Yeah, I guess that's fair. If you, like, if Janice were a person and you did the dishes for him, he'd be like, what the fuck?
You'd be like, I already have the gloves. Sorry, Janice. I love you,
That was
buddy.
lovely. That was so good.
Did you say lovely or lovely?
Lovely.
I heard lovely. I genuinely thought that was a really good pun that you quickly made, and I'm just happy I said that out loud.
God. Oh, God. Well, we probably need to keep moving now.
We do, because we are running, we're really getting high up in the minutes. So those are the love languages. Should we also, like, take a second to say, did we already say what ours are? Do you want to, like, quickly, like, touch upon just what are? Because otherwise it's going to, what?
I don't know what mine are.
Oh, cool.
They've morphed and changed and fluctuated in my head that I'm not sure anymore.
That's fair enough. I'm pretty secure in what mine are. I have like a top 3 in no specific order, but also definitely touches first. Physical touch, words of affirmation, and quality time, because I need reassurance daily. I like spending time with people watching shows, and god damn it, somebody hug me right now. Those are my reasons.
Yeah.
I get 1 hug per year. That's almost completely true.
Fair.
Anyways, so let's talk about shipping the sides. Because I feel like we definitely have opinions. I know you have an opinion regarding shipping the sides in general, I believe.
Yes.
The floor is yours. Figuratively.
My opinions of shipping the sides is don't.
Yeah. I know some people fall under that, because it goes under, like, self-cessed, is what some people call it.
Well, I wouldn't... I guess that's a way to look at it. That's a gross way to look at it.
It is a gross way. Anything that ends in cest should not be the thing.
But that's the thing. That's why I can't see some of the sides loving in that way. Like, for example, Roman is so focused on passion and fantasy that he's not necessarily thinking about how to love in that way. So, like, I fight for that. Mm-hmm. Logan is so focused on logic and reason, he can't even understand Patton. How is he even close to romantic love?
Yeah.
Virgil, there's a case for Virgil. I think there's a case for Virgil to understand love in that way. Janice, I think, is kind of like Roman in the sense he's got more passion than he's got actual love. But he understands compassion enough that he can talk about it. Yeah. And then Remus, no.
Yeah, that's all right.
But again, those are my perspectives. I don't think any of them can love. But if they could, everybody's going to hate me for saying this.
Are they?
If they could, I'm a fight for anxiety, analogical, and Moseed. Everything else I don't agree with.
People are going to hate me for saying this, but my top 3 ships are some of the most popular ships there are.
I think
that's just a really funny thing.
Human. If they're human, they work. If they're not human, none of them work.
What was your second one? You said analogical?
Analogical.
So you have so your ships can't happen at the same time, is what I'm hearing.
No.
Yeah, okay. See, I have a set of ships, but my ships work in terms of, like, they could all coexist.
Okay.
Because my ships, also just my quick view on shipping the sides in general, I don't make a very specific practice of it. Not that I'm against it. Also, not that I'm, like, it's just not something I think about often. But when I do think about it, it's Pringxiety and Moseed. Pringxiety because of flirting with social anxiety, because that moment at the end of the episode sold me. And Moseed because my boys. But so my whole thing is that, and this is going to go back to the sexuality thing from before. So in my brain, the way that it all works out is that Roman and Virgil get together, Patton and Janice get together, and then Logan and Remus are both Arrow and don't care. And then that's how it all kind of works out, and it all functions. Because again, I don't see Remus really caring about romantic relationships. I don't see Logan caring, and they don't fit together, in my personal view. Should we talk about some of the ships that exist that we really disagree with? We're going to get a little controversial here. Obviously, our opinion is our opinion. We're not saying what is fact, but we do have strong opinions. But, like, if you want to ship things, you can ship things, but we're not going to always agree with them.
You can know that from this point forward, and I will continue to say, I don't like the thought of shipping any of them because they're constructs of a personality. They can't.
Yeah. So Amy's already out of this race. But in terms
I'm done. I'm out. I'm out.
My justification for this is please don't hurt me. But no.
Because I mean, I know, like, for one of the ones that I don't fully agree with at all, but some people are really confident in, is Rosit.
Oh, that was what I was thinking of too. I wholeheartedly disagree.
That's manipulative bullshit.
They don't literally in the latest episode, Roman slapped Janice and almost didn't give him a gift for Christmas in the gift exchange. If that's not just the most non-functioning toxic relationship, I don't know what is. Part
of the argument I've heard for Rosit, this is also okay because I know there's we're hesitant about this because we know a lot of people have very strong opinions about the ships, but I also know that you're also on a podcast with two Logan Kinneys, so we're gonna logically think through these. With Rosit, a lot of people have said that, like, they just fit, they work, and the thing is they don't, in my personal opinion, because Roman is so focused on chasing dreams and having his vision and everything, and Janice uses that as a toxic it's so toxic.
They hate each other. Well, Roman hates Janice, and Janice is not a fan of Roman right now, and for good reason. But they clash too hard right now. I think a lot of people's justification for this, and I've seen this happen in a bunch of different fandoms, people really love the enemies to lovers, like, type of thing, and I don't. I don't not like it. I think there's a place for it, but I think that there's a lot of times when people ship that, but, like, the people that they're talking about, like, are so toxic that it's painful. For anyone who's seen the show Amphibia, I don't remember their names. Anne and Sasha. Them two. I've seen people ship them, and I'm like, that is the most literally toxic relationship in that show. And it's one of the most toxic ones that I've seen in most shows, and you're gonna ship them? Like, it's fine. It's fan fiction, whatever. But also, it feels like that sets up a bad precedent. But also sitcoms put up a bad precedent, because sitcoms romanticize relationships where people are constantly bickering. That's the sad part, too. But also, like, they can communicate and they can come to each other's level. I don't think Janice would ever go to Roman's level. No. Not saying that Roman's Janice, level is bad. Whoa, back, leave Janice alone. I just, like, I was, like, nodding, and I processed what you were saying. I was like, wait a minute, that's my boy! Fair.
I didn't think about what I was saying. So, Roman would never go to Janice's level, and even when he tries to, he would get there, but he wouldn't do it frequently enough.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
they would end up hurting each other really, really bad in some way, and it would just cause a lot of tension and struggle and pain.
I was gonna say, I think SBS Redux is a good example of the fact that Janice is very willing. Janice not only was willing to accept Roman and deal with him just to have Roman stab him in the back, but also, in the Christmas episode, after he slapped him in the face, Janice was like, you know what? I appreciate the dupery. Like, literally, he's so patient with Roman. I think that he is perfectly willing to not stoop, but he's willing to get down on Roman's level and talk to him like a person. I don't think Roman's nearly there. The only reason he even thought about it in this last episode is because it was Christmas, and because he saw that he gave Patton a nice gift.
Yeah, I think it's possible in the future, maybe, after some character development.
Yeah.
But also, I think both of them have such differing objectives in life that I think they would end up hurting each other.
Oh, yeah. I mean, quite literally. He smacked him. Another one I don't agree with, but I do like the thought of, is, I'm starting to not remember these names of these ships. Oh, what's the, Logan and Patton, what's their one?
Logicality.
Why
do I know this? Anyway.
No, I mean, we've been in the fandom for a while. I think I get confused sometimes because I don't remember which ones include the names and which ones don't. And also, like, they're all, like, in relation to the names that they don't have anymore. And there's sometimes it mixes, which is really confusing. Like, I don't... Anyways, I'm just on a soapbox for no reason. But, Logicality, I love the idea of. It's adorable, and I enjoy seeing that ship. I don't know that I agree with it. Because, like, I think they are good friends. I don't think they work that extensively together. I don't think it would work in the long run. I think it would be better than, like, Janice and Roman, but I don't think it would work in the long run.
I have had many a debate with Patton Kidneys as a Logan Kidney, and there's nothing wrong with the way they think, but I don't process it very well. So with that in mind, I don't think they can connect, because Logan and Patton, just in general, aren't gonna fully understand each other.
Nah.
And, like, even if they were human, like, they could really try, and honestly, there could be some effort. Like, if they both made a really strong effort, maybe, but I don't think they could, at first glance, I don't think they could do it.
Yeah.
But maybe. I think all of these are possible to some extent, but I think some are easier to do than others. Like, I think Roman and Janice is possible, but it would take a lot of work.
Yeah. The thing is, we're viewing it from the lens of what is current.
Yeah.
And, like, things are ever changing, so you never really know. But, like, right now, it feels like not quite there.
I was going to bring up one that we like, with Pringxiety.
Oh, yeah.
With Virgil and Roman. I think Roman would bring Virgil out of his shell a little bit.
Yeah.
I think they are both, they bicker enough with each other that they like being around each other. They both see eye to eye in terms of protection and in terms of like wanting Thomas to achieve his dreams. Like, I think Virgil really wants that. He wants him to do it safely. Yeah. And I think that would what Virgil would bring to Roman, is he'd bring that level of logic that Logan brings too much of the logic, and Roman's like, yeah. Whereas Virgil would be like bringing just enough that Roman can be like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and contrary to like Rosie, Pringxiety has been like between Roman and Janice, they've been like on a like they've not been doing great. But like Virgil and Roman have been slowly like their relationship and their bond has been growing exponentially. So like that's where that works a lot better. It's a lot easier to see them functioning as a good pair just because of the fact that they've worked well and continued to work better and better. Mosi is just cute. I just like my little bestie boys. They're so good.
I think Mosi works really, really, really well.
They do, because Janice is there hanging out with Patton, and Patton's one of the few people who's willing to hear out Janice and understand him. And also, it's cute. I think in reality, like, it's kind of a blend of opposites attract in a way. Like, I think there's a really good blend there. I think with Patton and Virgil in opposition, I think they're a little too close. Because, as I say, Virgil kind of needs somebody to
How do I phrase this?
I think Patton is just too peppy for Virgil. Like, unrealistically peppy. I think Roman is optimistic, but not annoyingly so, or not like to a fault. Like, Roman's more willing to be realistic. Which I think he struggles with Patton. Patton romanticizes things a little too much.
I would argue the opposite.
It depends on the day.
Patton's heavily in denial, though. If that's what you're talking about.
I'm just talking about the fact that Patton has, like... he has, like, the sparkly goggles on 24/7, just being like, the world is wonderful. And, like, he's just like, everything's great, cookies and rainbows. And I feel like that's a little much for Virgil. Whereas Roman has a passion for things, but he's also willing to, like, be a bit more calm.
Metaphorically. The way that you're, just some of the things you're saying, if someone was walking into this conversation out of context, you literally are saying things like, Patton has more of the romanticism. And I'm like, well, Roman is the romanticism.
No, I didn't say he's the romanticism. I was saying he romanticizes things. He romanticizes life. I'm just saying he's too peppy.
Yes, I would say that. Like, he kind of lives with rose-colored glasses on, whereas Roman sees a realistic path forward to get to where he wants to go. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Are there any other, like, ships we should, like, tackle quick? Just, like, other, like, things that we have opinions on?
I'm still thinking about Pat and Virgil, but yes. I'm still mulling on that one. Because, like...
I again, a cute one, but not one that is very functional, at least right now. Because they're not really vibing.
If Patton were human and he were a little more aware of his tendency to have the rose-colored glasses on, I think it's possible.
Well, I mean, aware of the tendency and being able to, like, cool the tendency.
Do something about it.
Yeah. Because the thing is, you can be aware that you have a certain outlook on life, but do you want to change that? And the thing is, like, I'm sure Patton doesn't want to annoy people, but also he is going to have his perspective on life that he's not going to be able to change that much.
Right.
I think he's just generally a peppy person, and that's something that's just sort of core to him. So even if he's aware of it, and he's like, you know what, that is a lot, but, like, it's kind of who I am, so I'm not going to change that just to be with somebody. That's not fair to me. So, like, I don't think that'd be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's almost, it would maybe he could sort of bring... Sorry?
It would take work. For it to work, but I think it is possible.
I mean, there's almost the same thing, like, with Roman. Like, he could maybe bring Virgil out of his shell a bit, but again, like, I think Virgil's really hung up on the fact that Patton uses a lot of that, like, not condescension is not the word, but, like, very patronizing language towards him a lot of the time that really, like, he's not a fan of, that we've talked about, so, like, I think that would get too much in the way. Patton's still struggling with boundaries a little bit.
Yeah.
So, like, that doesn't bode well for someone who needs very firm boundaries.
Mm-hmm. And so, in the same way, I think Virgil and Logan work because I think it'd be harder for them to work together because, as we've talked about, Virgil and Logan kind of have moments of clash. But at the same time, they understand each other in a way that others don't.
They work quite well together. They're another one. I see a lot of people talking about analogical, and while I don't know that I can be 100% for it, like, it's just not a personal preference. But I also just love them both so much, so, like, it's hard not to. This latest asides definitely made me be like, oh, maybe.
I fucking love Virgil.
Maybe.
Did I mention I love Virgil? Anyway,
they're so great. Those are two of my favorite boys.
I thought you were talking about the two, and I'm over here going, I love Virgil.
Yeah. A lot of my ships is just like, I like these two ones. I like A plus B, yes.
Yes.
It's just like, I pick up a Barbie, I pick up another Barbie. I like these two Barbies. Boom.
I'm really interested. I'm noticing we're not doing many ships with Remus at all. I think I don't have enough. I don't have enough context for who Remus is behind the scenes to know. Because I've also sworn, I know I've said this on the podcast before, but I've sworn I won't do Remus for a multitude of reasons.
Yeah.
In terms of character performance. And one of them is the fact that I just don't think I know him well enough yet.
Yeah, and the thing is that...
We're getting there, but not yet.
I think there's also a point to be made, and I'm sure I think we've said this at some point during the relationships talk a couple episodes ago, but even the person in this group that is the most open to Remus, being, I almost said Deceit, hello, Janice, even the person who is most open to Remus and being around Remus is also someone who is still put off by Remus. So it's like, there is nobody really in a position where they're so accepting of Remus that I could see them realistically being in even like a stable friendship versus like, you know, a relationship. Like Janice is the closest, but even then, like, he's still put off by Remus and unsettled by him. I don't think that would work in that way. I think they are sort of closer to friend acquaintances more so than friends officially. I think, you know, they're willing to be with each other mainly because they're very ostracized from a lot of the group. So they sort of bond in that way. But I don't think that they're close. And the fact is, if even the closest person isn't really close, then I can't see anybody else functioning as a relationship. Because Virgil doesn't like him. Logan, doesn't like him. You know, Roman is his brother. Let's say that the one thing we can definitely say against is Remrom. We do not. I know their sides, but also they have made references multiple times to the fact that they're brothers. That's not okay. It's not okay. We do not talk about Bruno. It's not okay. And I forgot my list. Patton also is very uncomfortable with him. I'm glad that got you so much.
That was really funny.
Yeah,
I didn't expect it.
But yeah, no, nobody's really comfortable with him, so I can't see him being with anybody.
I think no until proven otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. Also,
I think he's got there's thoughts that go on in that brain that I don't know yet, and I want to know what those thoughts are.
Yeah. Also with Janice, I feel a similar way that like nobody else vibes except for Patton, mainly because nobody else deserves Janice. Nobody deserves him. That is my legitimate thought. They don't deserve him. Everyone's mean except for Patton.
Yeah.
Also, like,
I think
side note. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to quickly go through them. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say as a side note, because I don't know if anyone actually does this. It's just a thought that occurred in my brain that I don't think I've ever seen in the fandom, but I'm just had a moment of thought to wonder, do you think anybody ships Aside with Thomas? Because I say that's outlawed in my brain. I can't see that working ever. One, because no, but two, because no.
You're asking the wrong person.
Well, I'm not saying if you do. I'm saying, do you think anybody does?
That one makes my brain like glitch and then shut down. I don't
see that
I
would
don't know.
be self-cess.
That one.
That
one,
would literally be like I choose myself as my romantic partner.
I glitch. No. What?
Yeah, that's.
No.
I can't see that being a thing. I don't know if anyone does that. I can't imagine they do. If you do, have fun. That's all I can say about that one. I can't see that being...
That's a little too far. A little too far.
I mean, maybe in like a human AU. That's fine. Like in an alternate universe where it's like they all exist as human people alongside Thomas, then you could ponder that.
I'd argue Virgil. If that were happening, because Thomas has said that I guess the real Thomas has said he's a Patton and Roman Kinney, but at the same time, like I do see Thomas having a lean towards Roman, so I think it's just similar in that way.
So if wait,
if they were both
hold on, wait. That's an interesting point of view. He has a lean towards Roman, so he would choose Virgil, but Roman's also an option, so why wouldn't he choose Roman? If he has a lean towards Roman and Roman's a person now, Wouldn't he potentially want to go towards Roman as that option?
No, like personality-wise.
No, I know, but like if they have similar personalities, wouldn't that also be a contender?
I don't. Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't have to be. I think I see the
My
point
brain's
you're making,
split.
but like I think I'm thinking of like similarities, so they magnetize. But like also like I see how like because he's like Roman, that he might have a draw to Virgil. That would be a vibe. Anyways, we need to stop pondering this. This feels weird. I feel like I shouldn't allow myself to ship any of the sides with Tom. It feels sacrilege somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am curious to know if people do that though. That's interesting. But yeah, that's about it.
I guess the only other one that I'd mention is anxiety or Virgil and Janice, and I don't think.
No,
I don't think
they
at all.
clearly have some bad blood between them, bad history.
But even with that, even based on what we know about them, I don't think they'd work very well because Virgil likes a sense of reality, and Janice kind of, as much as Janice does have that sense of reality, Janice likes to play with that sense of reality, and I don't think Virgil doesn't trust that.
Janice likes to play around, and Virgil has trust issues, and the two don't mix.
Yeah.
And also, as I said before, nobody deserves Janice except for Patton. Sassy snap. Anyways,
I guess the other one that we didn't really talk about is Roman and Logan. There's more probably, but Roman and Patton's the other one.
I mean, well, Roman and Patton, we've talked about how they've definitely grown apart in recent time, especially due to the Janice situation.
Yeah.
Roman and Logan. I think they clash a bit too much.
They clash too much.
It just I never really understood that one almost felt like enemies to lovers-ish. Not nearly to the same extent, but like definitely like two people who really don't get along and be like, what if they got along? If that's not fandom in a nutshell, hey, these two people don't get along. What if, and hear me out, they got along?
But
I'll write it down.
Prove us wrong in the comments. Let us know if you heavily disagree with us, because we want to hear your perspective.
We really do.
You don't have to agree with.
Yeah, you really don't. Like, again, our word is not law. I mean, when we're talking about psychology, sometimes it is. But, like, in terms of our opinions, it's not law. Like, it is just our opinions.
And I'm over here very stubborn.
Yeah.
But either way.
So let us know in the comments what you guys think. And as we said before, let us know if you're interested in a Side-ology live stream in the near future for the fan Q&A episode, leading into, again, what will be less consistent episodes from here on out. But yeah, on that note, that is all we have for today. My gosh.
Yay!
Yay!
I zoned out for us.
No, you're so fat. I can see it.
I know, I had a moment of like, where's my...
Me every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, we will see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye, peeps.
Bye, friends!